Hi, Lindsay. I've looked over this, your fifth lesson plan, and here's some feedback for you. This lesson plan, honestly, is really cool and amazing. I like it, and I love that you were so thorough in designing this lesson plan too. The handouts at the end, the appendices, and the rubric that you created. Really nice attention to detail. I like that. So I had just a couple little things that I thought I could draw your attention to, but really they're very little because this lesson plan is great. So first of all, very well aligned. I always enjoy a well aligned lesson plan. This part right here, where you, sorry about that scrolling around, where you have review for 5 minutes, call on students to answer question. This, when you call on a student to answer a question, it ensures that a student has that answer right. And it doesn't make sure that everyone understands. So that's kind of more of a lesson planning strategy for you that you're going to have to, figure out a way to hurdle. When I have everyone take out the completed study guide for 14 through 17, and then I say, okay, someone answer 14, and one kid answers. I know that either that one kid knows it or doesn't know it, but that doesn't tell me that everyone knows it or doesn't know it. And so you're gonna have to wrestle with that. Whether you collect these up first or whether you have them think, pair, share, and eavesdrop on them, or whether you do a small group thing or something like that. But just a heads up to be aware of that teaching the limited use of that teaching strategy in general. Also, talking about the end of the story in class in this kind of a fashion can sometimes feel a little anticlimactic for kids. If you're just doing okay, good, who can answer the question for 17? Oh, this wasn't resolved and that wasn't resolved. Good job. So let's write a narrative. You know what I mean? Sometimes this is that art of teaching where you just need to sometimes let the kids, I don't know, be with the literature a little bit more. Because what you say here is very accurate, but it's very anticlimactic. This may be the kind of thing where you want to just hang in there a little bit more and extend this part of the lesson plan. Have them react to it some. How did it feel? What did you think? Did you feel cheated because the story just stopped? What do you think the characters thought? Things like that. And it might be interesting to have that for your beginning journal prompt. I think this picture is cool, and it is, right? Think about having that for a beginning journal prompt, because that really, you can collect that from then, and that really is proof positive, that kids finished reading the text. And it's much more in line with the text and allows them to sit with it for a minute, okay? Like I said, your handouts were really great. I like the fact that you discussed why we're doing this, how it helps, and you connect, how writing good narratives helps us as human beings, and then you connected that very nicely to the text. Your guided notes were very well done. I thought very well thought through. The only thing I was thinking is when you get to, okay, everything's written in past tense, you're going to use first person, pay attention to style. Is it going to be a journal, a regular story, a journal? When you're writing dialogue, make sure you do this, okay? You may want, because this is a really big, by the time I get down here, this is a really big chunk of you talking at the kids while they sit there in their desks. They may have tiny little answers for you, or they may not. But that's a lot of them just sitting there. In this section where you're projecting the pre-writing worksheet, you may just want to hand them the worksheet and go over the first section and then give them a few minutes to get started on that section. Pull them back together, go through the second section, give them a few minutes to get started. So there's a little bit more back and forth, because otherwise this ends up ultimately being 45 minutes of the kids just sitting there. And you'll end up with some behavior management problems on your hand if you do too much of that, okay? So just in this section, think about breaking that up a little bit and having them think a little bit, write a little bit, listen a little bit. Think, write, listen, okay? Other than that, Lindsay, honestly, this is a very well done and very thorough, and I like your ideas in here. Nice job.